All right, so welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for another event with Let's Move by United Healthcare. Today we have another virtual teaching kitchen with a registered dietitian, Kelly Lawler, and Chef John Alms. So as usual, you can keep up with what we have going on with Let's Move by United Healthcare by visiting www.letsmovebyuhc.com and logging in with your username and password. Or you can go through your United Healthcare member portal, use your username and password, click on the health and wellness, blue health and wellness ribbon at the top of the screen and scroll down, and that's where you'll see the Let's Move button on that page. So again, if you're having any technical difficulties during today's session, click that orange Need Help button. And if you have any questions about what Chef John is doing or what Kelly is talking about, then feel free to use that Q&A feature that you see on your screen to ask any questions. You can find the recipe under the resource section on your screen as well. So if you're looking for that recipe, it'll be on that resource button. So click on that and you'll see the recipe there. And you can also find the recipes for today's event as well as others on the Let's Get Cooking section of the Let's Move by UHC website. So our next virtual teaching kitchen will be on November 15th. And the topic will be cooking with fall harvest. So we'll put that in the Q&A feature there so you have that information. But for today, we are focusing on celebrating National Seafood Month and learning how to prepare seafood for a healthy heart. So I will turn it over to Chef John and Kelly. And remember, as we go along, if you have any questions, type them into that Q&A feature. So thank you, Chef John and Kelly.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Yes, welcome back. We're happy to have you guys back. I'm Kelly Lawler. I'm registered dietitian.
Chef John Alms here at 9900 Minnetonka, Minnesota.
All right. Yeah, we're in Minnesota today, and we are celebrating National Seafood Month. That's October, so it's a big thing around here. We love celebrating it. And really, what we want to do today is we want to talk about how to prepare different types of seafood. I think that's a huge thing, is knowing how to prepare it. What should I be buying? You know, what's best, even what fits into your budget. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, and also sustainability too. We'll touch base on it. So we're going to actually do quite a few recipes. We'll learn a lot today, and then we'll talk a little bit about the health benefits, right?
Yeah, and in addition to that, of course, you know, what flavors go well with what fish, and we've got 3 different kinds of fish here that you probably see often in the supermarket. So we have some salmon here. This is a Atlantic salmon. It's been farmed. And the middle one is tilapia here. This has been a frozen product that is also farmed, and this mahi mahi is a wild caught. We'll get into all that other stuff as we move on here. But one thing I do want to mention too, that PRS and Compass, I guess Compass is the parent company of our company. So we are connected with what's called Seafood Watch, which is based out of the Monterey Bay Aquarium on the West Coast out there. And they have a wonderful website, wonderful app. You can actually go on and find out what's the best fish to purchase. They have a little on the app anyway. I was showing Kelly earlier, a red, yellow, and green. Do not purchase. A better choice, and then the best choice. Some are farming practices are sometimes the farming practices are kind of bad for the rest of the environment, like the wastewater that's used, the farmed fish getting in with the wild population. And there's also wild caught, which can lead to overfishing, and we've seen a lot of things over the years that have dropped in numbers. So I would highly recommend that Seafood Watch app. It's just called Seafood Watch. It's from the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and that'll give you some pointers as to what's the best to purchase. And it's widely used in the restaurant world with our company, Compass. So I highly recommend that.
Very easy to use too.
Yeah. So we are actually required as part of Compass to purchase from the safe vendors or vendors that practice good sourcing as far as sustainability goes. So these are actually from you know, the best source that we can get as far as doing less, you know, very little harm to the environment. And with that, it's even, you know, it's even better for us than some of the other
Mhm.
practices that we see out there.
Mhm.
So we've got salmon, tilapia, and the mahi-mahi, and we've got 3 different marinades we're gonna do. So if it's marinating fish, it's pretty easy. I mean, just mix up, you could even do like a salad dressing for that. Oil, vinegar, or oil and lemon juice, or some sort of, you know, fresh herbs, and we'll go through all of them as we get going here today. But I wanted to say that all the recipes that we're showing you today, you can easily interchange different fish for. This is just a great example here of 3 different kinds of fish you may find that are represent sort of different densities of fish and different fat, good fat, lean protein. So we'll talk about a little bit about that.
Yeah.
That's your specialty, of
Oh, yeah.
course, to get going on that nutritional benefits of eating this lean protein. Now you may ask, what are we doing with, you know, we're stuck in Minnesota here, it's so far away from the coast. Most of the stuff is flown in fresh. Like I said, the ones that are frozen, the mahi and the tilapia are frozen on the fishing vessel itself. So they're as fresh as they can be living in the Midwest. So if you're on the coast or the south, on the Gulf, you got access to lots of fresh seafood, and I'm kind of jealous when I go on vacation there and come back here and it says, oh,
Yeah, walleye.
yeah, walleye. Yeah,
Oh,
some people love it. I'm not a big fan, but there's fresh fish here in the Midwest as well. The Great Lakes are a great source of that. We have lake trout from Lake Superior, cold waters up there. I really love that. That's one of my favorite ones. And also from Lake Michigan, we have some whitefish and salmon out there as well. And we were talking a little bit about dangers of consuming too much of that sort of fish that are mercury levels are higher and that sort of thing. So we got to be really careful about that.
Yeah,
You want to
there are
Just a little
certain
bit.
fishes. There are certain fishes that are going to be higher in mercury. A lot of the time we get really, really worried about it.
Yeah.
But really it comes down to some certain fishes like shark, which you're not going to see a ton of. You're not going to be eating
Right.
that often.
Right.
Even swordfish, king mackerel would be another one that are super high. And then, you know, really the biggest people or the people who want to be the most concerned about are going to be pregnant women and then even breastfeeding women and even young children. But all of the choices that we're talking about today are excellent choices. They're very low in mercury. And a lot of the time, you know, really the selenium content of fish often helps kind of offset some of that mercury concern. So
Right.
yes, seafood is oftentimes, a lot of them, very high in selenium, which is good.
Selenium, that's a mineral?
Yes, yep. So they're very high in vitamins and minerals, including selenium, and yes, that helps kind of do a little bit of offsetting on the harm of mercury. So we want it to be high in selenium, which is great.
Are there certain fishes that are higher in selenium than
Yes.
others?
Yes, like tilapia is actually higher in selenium than
This one right here.
tilapia. So this middle one, then some other ones. You know, I would have to say like salmon is probably the best choice for all of it. It's high in vitamin D, selenium, fatty or omega-3 fatty acids. So
Right.
they do vary a little bit, but for the most part, a lot of the seafood does have just a higher selenium content, period.
Period.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah, so let's get into some of the recipes.
let's do it.
The first 3 recipes, well, they're all basically marinades. So I mean, they're easy to put together,
Yep.
easy enough. I mean, if you have someone to help you prep them, which you did graciously
Yes.
today. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
So let's start with salmon here. And actually I'm just going to marinate these, and I've marinated some other fish just like this earlier today and baked them off, and they're patiently waiting behind me there for us to sample. So you will get sort of a full circle here, the beginning of the marinade and then the finishing of the cooking. So I would recommend marinating, fish like this, depends on the thickness of it as well. But if you're going to be using an acid and sort of salt and that sort of thing, it's going to actually cook your fish a little bit. A lot of you may know about ceviche. A lot of great way to cook fresh seafood is that with lime juice, and some people use lemon, orange in there as well to help actually cook. It's not actually cooking it; it's almost like preserving in the first stages of that. So, so what my point, I guess, is it doesn't take long at all to marinate. So I would say maybe some of the denser fishes, these two here, the salmon and the mahi-mahi, that those would take a little longer to marinate than the tilapia. I'm talking maybe an hour max is all you really need for the denser fish, and maybe a half an hour for the tilapia. And like I said, it depends on the size of the fillet. If it's going to be really thick, obviously it's going to take a little longer.
Yeah.
Thin, it's going to take less. So just as a ballpark, half hour for white fish, generally speaking, tilapia, some that's not as dense, and about an hour for the denser fish.
That's a good rule of thumb. That's a good rule of thumb.
Good.
Mhm.
Tuna, salmon, mahi-mahi, denser ones are going to take a little bit longer. Both kind of play it by ear, but
Yep.
very different than marinating chicken overnight.
Mhm.
You wouldn't want to marinate this overnight.
Oh, see, those are tips even I don't know. Like
Yeah.
the longer you marinate, the better, but sometimes maybe not.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that's because the protein is really dense in chicken and
Mhm.
pork and other animal flesh. So,
Yeah.
but the fish is that the least dense.
Sure, that makes sense.
All right, let's marinate the salmon up, and then we'll move on to tilapia and then mahi-mahi. And why don't you help me out here?
Yes.
Got a little bowl here. Let's do some, we're going to call this a Mediterranean marinade for the salmon. And like I said, feel free to use these different recipes with a different fish. I mean, any tilapia, mahi-mahi would be awesome with this Mediterranean flavor here. So we've got some balsamic vinegar. We're always gonna start out with a little bit of sort of an acid, and there's always going to be some sort of oil in there as well. So that's the basic marinade. It's pretty much like making a salad dressing, like I mentioned before.
Mhm.
So and then you're going to want to add maybe half as much of the oil in there.
Okay.
You don't want to have too much oil in there. I mean, we need a little bit in there just to make it brown up a little in the oven. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Or what I've done already is baked them. And we'll talk about cooking techniques on different types of fish, what would be good for that. But you can certainly, just a quick note, you can certainly grill that salmon. Certainly put it on a fry pan, fry it up, and
Bake it.
yep, bake it, broil it, all those things for broil it. So we got our oil and vinegar in there now. How about a little bit of sweetness to counteract that?
Yeah,
Here's that.
just a little bit of honey.
Mhm.
Would you do maple syrup or would you stick to honey?
Yeah, maple syrup. I use that a lot. Yep, that would be very good.
I didn't know if the flavor would be a little strong.
Yeah, no. Salmon is very, very resilient in
Forgiving.
taking on those, forgiving and taking on those sort of really rich flavors of maple syrup and honey like this. Some brown sugar is
Yep.
just as
Yeah.
fine. Yeah,
Yep.
molasses is sometimes used as well. So
Mhm.
I mean that is salmon takes well to those stronger flavors. The whiter fish and probably not so much.
Oh, okay.
You have a strong like molasses or maple syrup or something like that. The whitefish will be overpowered by that.
So too much.
I would kind of lean toward the fattier fish, denser fish. Or if you're using this big big flavors of this Mediterranean.
So these two,
Marinade.
mahi and the salmon would do okay with like a honey or a maple syrup.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
good to know.
Let's put some fresh garlic in there. How about that?
Fresh garlic, all right. I'm
Yeah.
extra garlic when I put my recipes
Oh, yeah,
together.
yeah. And
You guys
that's,
remember that?
that's great Mediterranean cooking is
Yep.
lots of garlic.
Lots of garlic.
How about some herbs now? Let's do some
Yes.
herbs. We got some dried oregano in there. Looks like.
Yep, we got
We got
one.
a what do you call this thing?
Whisk.
If you
I
want
know,
to,
you're right.
just whisk that in there. And
Yep.
what was that? Two in
And
there.
then we got a little rosemary.
Rosemary, fresh rosemary. that's right.
Yes. So let's
Oh,
get
oh, oh.
together.
Now, these recipes that we're doing now are probably, I would say, good for 4 servings of fish. And each of these fillets are 4 to 5 ounces. I mean, these are prepped by humans. They're not machines, so they're going to be between 4 and 5 ounces a piece,
Mhm.
which is.
Yes.
Is that a good portion or?
3 to 4 ounces is typically what you're looking for
3 to
any.
4 ounces?
Yeah,
Ah,
for any protein is what you're really looking
so
for.
these
3
are a
to
little
4.
big.
They're a little big. I mean, they will shrink down a little bit, but like
Right.
3 to 4 ounces
That.
serving portion, so it should still be okay.
So after it's cooked, then we really talk about
Mhm,
weight.
mhm.
And what's the recommendation?
Yeah,
So,
because it might get rid of a little liquid.
yeah,
Mhm.
right. So the finished weight will probably be closer to 3 ounces, which is
Perfect.
what you want
Exactly what we want.
in a diet.
Yep.
Perfect.
So
All right.
now,
So these recipes are for like 4 of these 4-ounce fillets, they're 4-ounce raw.
Mhm.
So I would just put half of this on the salmon there,
Sure.
kind of mix it up and then we'll save the other half for our other salmon that we're doing here in the cafe. And I would, lift it up and let's kind of massage it around. You'll get
Yeah.
that lots of that flavor right in the flesh. I'll grab the ingredients for the
perfect.
tilapia next.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, so the salmon is very fatty, which is a good thing. It's got the omega-3 fatty acids. And, to be honest, it is kind of like a little bit of a gold star fish just because it does have a lot of those, like the selenium, the iodine, the omega-3 fatty acids. But it's still okay to kind of vary your fish, especially in regards to something like sustainability. But those omega-3s are so good for heart health, super good for cardiovascular disease, which is why I'm such a huge fan of
Why
salmon.
is that? Why is
It just the research shows that when you have omega-3s on board, it can help lower things like that LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol.
right?
And even like some research on like your triglycerides, triglyceride levels. But yeah, the research shows that when you have a lot of those on board and you're getting sufficient amounts, like 2 servings of fish per week, fatty fish per week, lower risk for cardiovascular disease.
Oh,
So make sure you're eating your fish.
yeah, right. I'm getting to that
See?
age. I am watching.
That's why you have me around.
I know, that's awesome to have this personal nutritionist right across the hall for me.
Boss me around.
So yeah. So that's the big deal with omega-3. So
Mhm.
natural sources of omega-3 rather
Yep.
than taking out. We still can with eating supplements and whatnot, but I mean, this
It's
is
actually better from food when you get it from food.
okay.
Yep. And with we talked about the wild and the farm raised.
Yeah.
So with a farm raised, there's potential that it could be lower in those omega-3s. It'll still be a good source, but sometimes the farming practices, it can reduce the amount of vitamins and minerals and omega-3s in it. It's still a good source. It's still beneficial for your heart, but ultimately the wild caught, it will be higher in the omega-3s.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to the tilapia.
Yep.
We've got just a very simple, we'll call this a fresh herb marinade. So we did the Mediterranean. Now we're going to do the fresh herb, and we got a bunch of fresh herbs mixed together here. What did you prep up here, Kelly?
We had basil, we had parsley, we had oregano, we had thyme, parsley.
Oh my
Or did I say
gosh,
parsley
you said
twice?
parsley.
I said
Lots of
rosemary. Rosemary, lots of parsley. So we did have rosemary in it
That
as well.
smells, that smells so great.
Woo.
This up in the upper Midwest here, it's we're getting to the end of the season of
Mhm.
growing these nice fresh herbs. So, but we have other areas of the world that we're grateful for that we have all these different herbs come in anytime that we want them in the winter time. So,
Pretty much.
so yeah, but if you have access to a lot of fresh herbs, this is a great way to use those up, and also to season up your tilapia, which is talked about it being, not as dense and more able to take on flavors quicker. So this is one way to actually get those flavors in there, is with the simple fresh herb, garlic, and oil marinade. So let me mix this up real quick here. I won't make you do the second one there.
Don't give me a break.
Um,
I do have a
rest.
question for you though.
Yes.
So like with this one, we've got oil, we've got garlic, we've got fresh herbs.
See,
So are you gonna use an acid in this one?
I will not actually, because with it being not as dense of
Mhm.
fish, I run the risk of it being too, that'll cook too much.
Okay,
So kind of like
Yeah.
we're talking about with ceviche, we really only use, those lighter type of fish and shrimp and and shellfish and other things like that. So yeah, you wouldn't really need to add, you could add some lemon, would be great in there, but it's running the risk of it cooking it. And so you don't really need to have the fresh herbs will actually, permeate into that less dense fish.
Mhm.
And we'll see when we bring out the
Right.
the big ones.
It's good to know.
All right, so we got some fresh garlic, more garlic. It's always nice to have a garlic or an onion or ginger or something like that as sort of base flavor. It helps with anything you're cooking. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get going. We're gonna make a little stir fry a little bit later, so, yeah. Okay, this is just plain canola oil. You could use olive oil. But we just kind of wanted to have full flavor of those fresh herbs without having to compete with the olive oil flavors. Okay, so we're just gonna mix that up. I didn't put too much oil in there, just enough to sort of help, coat the fish a little bit. And I'm not gonna put any salt on these. I will right before I did. You'll have to kind of remember that I already baked them. So one thing you should remember is salting it will actually cook it. I mean, if you're only gonna do it for a half an hour, it shouldn't be any problem. You can salt it. But what I like to do is salt it right before I bake it or grill it or broil it or whatever, just so that you're not, as it sits, you're not, something comes up or you forget about it. You might not really ruin, but it'll be less of a satisfying experience if you have if you go too long with
Right.
salt or an acid.
Interesting. Again, something I didn't know. I always thought like when I'm making the marinade, I'm like, oh, I gotta put a lot of salt in it, or not a lot, but I gotta salt and season it and make sure it's done ahead of time. That's gonna help it with more flavor, but
That's
no.
true with some of the denser meats,
Mhm.
chicken, beef, pork, that sort of thing. I'm actually gonna put a little bit of this down on the bottom so that it's nice herb flavor on both sides. Yeah, so many years ago, that used to be the norm with fish. Nowadays, we've got, a lot of access to different kinds of fish, and different techniques, and a lot of communication with, chefs on the coasts and the south that know how to, cook this sort of thing. So when I say back then, I mean, I'm talking about, Friday night fish fry and fried fish
Right.
and that sort of thing. So fried shrimp and all those fun things that are not as healthy and not bring out the flavor of the seafood in a great way, in a satisfying way.
Right.
All right, we'll make a little final marinade, and we're gonna call this next one Asian marinade.
Yes. So with tilapia, that one's not gonna be as fatty like Chef John was talking about, little bit leaner. The nice thing is though, I know we talk a lot about the omega-3s. The nice thing I love about doing something like a tilapia though, it's still a very lean, low calorie, high protein food, which again, when we talk about like maintaining a healthy weight, making sure that we're full often, those things are all really good for our heart health as well. So I don't want to discourage something like a tilapia or a mahi-mahi that's leaner. It's still really good for when we think about our long-term health in regards to how it affects our heart health, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this is an Asian marinade. We have some pineapple here, and I'm just actually going to blend this all up. Looks like we were talking about the salad dressing before. So why don't you help me out here?
Yep.
I'll get my little stick blender ready. Yeah, power.
Stretch out.
Oh, you're gonna get loosened up here. You're
Gonna
gonna
get
have a lot of-
loosened up.
all right,
We'll bring out the power tools.
All right, let's go ahead and throw in all of our liquids first, and then we'll throw in the solids.
Perfect.
However,
We do liquids first. What do we
What was
have
that?
there? We had soy sauce.
Yeah.
Yes, soy sauce. And then just a little bit of oil, right?
Yeah, I would say about half. Yeah, that's good.
Which is soy sauce like a liquid? I'm sorry, you're talking.
Acid?
Is it an acid?
Not so much. No,
Okay.
not so much. No, it's going to help to marinate it a little bit and tenderize it a little bit. But what we have here is the pineapple. That'll sort of help to start to break down the protein
Sure,
cell walls.
that makes sense.
Okay, so then let's put in some fresh herbs.
The whole thing?
Yeah, why not?
All right. So right now we've got a little bit of onion, garlic, ginger, green onion,
Red onion.
red onion.
Yep,
Yes.
perfect.
So very strong flavors, which is good.
Yeah.
We like strong flavors.
Let's do a little bit of sugar in there, looks like. And I know you're going to overdo it on the peppers here, so I'm gonna keep these away from you.
Yeah, I know. Don't let me do those. That'll be bad.
So the sugar here is gonna kind of play nicely with the pineapple. And you can use pineapple juice, you can use canned pineapple, that's fine. Just be careful how much sugar you use in there. I mean, if you've got a sugary pineapple juice or canned pineapple, you probably want to just not put in any of the white sugar there, just like we did. All
You
right.
could use honey if you needed.
Sure. All right. So let's see that. Nice, kind of like a little salad dressing. You probably can't hear me over the noise here, but it's just pretty much like a salad dressing is what we're doing. And you certainly can purchase dressings in the store. Jar ones, just keep a lookout for extra things that you don't really need in there. More sugar, more fat. Making it from scratch is always, as we've always said, is the best way. You control how much fat, how much salt, how much sugar you put.
Kind of fat you have in it.
Right. Okay.
Are we pouring this over? All right.
Again, this is for about 4 servings,
So
so
do half?
about half of it, yes. Yeah, there you
Oh, it
go.
smells good.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's about half.
So I'm just gonna move it around a little bit here. Make sure the whole fillet is in the marinade. There we go. All right, and that can sit, about a half an hour or so. This can sit up to an hour, like we were talking about the denser fish, the mahi and the salmon, of course. But yeah, so we'll cook that a little bit later. And meanwhile, I'll grab the. I'm going to take it away. We'll grab the cooked fish and we will sample those.
Perfect. And while Chef John is getting our finished product, just to see what it looks like after we baked it, we would love to take questions. Joe, is there anything out there?
Yes, we received a couple of questions that came through. One of the questions are a couple of questions about the marinade. Does it hurt to marinate longer? And if so, what is the impact?
Yes. So Chef John was saying, with the denser fishes, we're going to do about an hour long of a marinade. The less dense, like the tilapia, that's going to be only about a half hour. Chef John, if you were to do longer than an hour, would it be like detrimental to the taste of the fish, or could you, like, let's say you did 3 to 4 hours?
Well, we haven't put any salt or acid in, like, you talking specifically about
Right.
the herb marinade?
Yeah,
Yeah, so we haven't done, I mean, you wouldn't suffer, the fish wouldn't suffer any problems with that basic, no acid, no
Yeah.
salt
but if it
marinade.
has the acid and it has the salt, Chef John did say that'll cook the fish even before you're actually baking it. So that one you'd want to be probably careful of doing too long.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yep.
Like I was saying, the denser fish are a little more forgiving.
Yes.
So that, yeah, you're good with the salmon, the mahi and the tuna, those big dense fish.
Anything else, Joe?
Yeah, to that, do you refrigerate the fish while it's marinating, or can you leave it out?
If you're leaving it out that long, half hour, yeah, definitely put it in the fridge. That would be, that's a great question. You can let it sit out. Like if you're doing little small shrimp and marinating that, maybe 15, 20 minutes. I would, if you're gonna go any longer than that, yeah, I would definitely put it in fridge.
Yep.
All right, my special is over here. All right.
Maybe one more question if there's anything that while Chef John is putting these on plates.
Yes. I had a question. What kind of oil are you using? And can you use avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil with the cooking?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, definitely. Any of those oils would work as a substitute. We're using the canola oil here just because it's it's inexpensive. It's we got access to it and it fits in our budget. So yeah, that's it's a good all around oil. So, but you're certainly welcome to substitute those kinds of oils. Now for the stir fry that I'm getting kind of ready over here, where I'm got to move it the opposite direction. I need help.
No, I was gonna-
So yeah, so like the stir fry that I'm about to do here, definitely use a one that's high temperature oil, high smoking point, which is canola oil, soybean oil. I believe avocado oil is. I haven't worked with it that much.
I honestly haven't either. I just know we mostly use canola oil for that reason.
Right. Yeah.
And it is still low in saturated fat, which, we talk about the omega-3s and how healthy that is for our heart. Canola oil, it's going to be really low in that saturated fat and actually still high in the polyunsaturated fat, monounsaturated fat, which is the ones we want. So that's another reason I don't mind using canola oil. It cooks well with what we're doing because it's got that high smoke point.
Right.
And then it also is still good for our heart health.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great all around oil. Certainly if you have reservations about canola oil, there's certainly options out there. You can use peanut oil, a little more expensive, soybean oil, safflower oil. Those will work perfect as well. All right, should we sample these? You think?
Yeah, should we try it? Everybody does.
You get one spoon.
Woo!
We're
Okay,
all
one
three.
spoon. I'm going for the salmon. All right.
How is it? Tasting the marinade?
Yeah, yeah. The salmon is so good.
Yeah.
Super good.
Mahi, I think I left it back there a little too long and got a little bit too dried out. And that's
We were
one
kind
thing,
of busy.
yeah, and that's one thing we also wanted to talk about, how long should you cook these? Is there a temperature you're supposed to cook them at till, well, our Serve Safe program, the health department all says 145 degrees.
Yep.
Maximum, well, not maximum, that it should, minimum, that it should hit in order to kill any foodborne illnesses. Now I like to come up to that very close. I don't like to overdo it. And I pull it out of the oven before it's done because as any protein, it'll keep cooking as it sits. So, and I think that's what happened here. It kept cooking
Yeah.
and it got a little bit dry.
So typically I know it's probably going to change with like a denser fish or lighter fish, like the tilapia is lighter.
Yep.
what would be like a pretty good rule of thumb for time wise? I feel like I always overcook my fish.
Yeah, and it also depends on the oven too. If you have a convection oven, it's gonna even take less time.
Mhm.
So we do have a convection oven here that we used. And we just did it straight from the marinade into the oven. I didn't grill it. I didn't put it in a fry pan or anything like that. So given that, takes about 10 to 12 minutes. It depends on the fish,
Mhm.
like you were saying, all these different parameters. But yeah, about 10 to 12 minutes baking that is just about right for,
Mhm.
for fish that you don't want to over.
So pull it out maybe at 10, let it
Yeah.
sit for like a minute, 2 minutes,
Yep.
and then
Yeah, so
Temp
if you temp it out with your instant, your thermometer here, instant heat thermometer,
Mhm.
if you have one, that's the best way to tell. But when it hits about 140 degrees, take it out of the oven, and then as it sits, you watch it, trust me, it'll happen that
Trust him.
it'll still keep cooking when it comes out of the oven, and it'll come up to that 145 within, I would say within 5-10 minutes at the most.
Yeah.
You would hit that.
that makes sense.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we got our first 3 recipes done.
Yes.
Let's move on now. We're gonna do do a little stir fry
Yeah.
curry, Thai yellow curry. And this is the yellow curry paste that I'm using here. And there's lots of different brands out there, so I'm not tied to one brand. But similar size, what you can find in the grocery store, and it's Thai yellow curry paste. So it has all those lovely Thai flavors in there. Different than like your Indian subcontinent curries that you go out to our curry. So it's not that flavor of curry, similar technique in cooking, but I just wanted to
Mhm.
make that point. All right, so I'm going to do some shrimp. And we're going to start by getting a hot pan. That's what we're going to do.
Yes.
Maybe just easier. I can move this over here a little bit.
There we go.
All right, again, canola oil. And we're just going to stir fry that shrimp up first with some of the garlic and onion, and then we'll make the sauce. And then we'll cook all the vegetables in there, and we've got a little fruit there too. And then I'll put the shrimp back in and serve it over rice, and Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle. Perfect. Sounds easy enough.
Yeah.
So we're using shrimp with this recipe, which another awesome seafood choice, one of my favorites.
Good.
It is a little bit lower in the omega-3s. I mean, it still has omega-3s and is it's still an adequate source, I would say, in regards to our heart health. Like when we talk about having the 2 servings per week, this would still be totally adequate in regards to helping with the cardiovascular disease. But when you compare it to something like a salmon, which is our golden child, it is a little bit lower, but still love it because it's low calorie and then also high protein.
Nice. All right, since it's kind of a stir fry curry here, I'm going to go pretty quickly.
Yep.
So as we're working here, I can answer a few questions as you, I mean, from you probably would be better. Just, quick questions I can answer because
Yep.
it's a very a quick type of
Quick
curry thing.
process.
So yeah. So let me just start with this shrimp. Add a little bit of canola oil in there. And I left the tails on these. I kind of like that. The flavor goes right into the dish. That extra, flavor from the tail. I have about the pan on about medium high right now, so it should be as hot as you can get it. I don't have a nice foot system right here in front of me. That's just a little bit of salt. I don't want to really smoke us out of here, so I do.
I think we get in trouble.
When I'm searing, yes, yeah. When I'm searing seafood like this, I want to have a nice hot pan. Kind of the secret that some people don't realize, and overfilling your pan too. I mean, if you have mounds of fish, that is going to reduce the temperature of your pan, and your fish are not going to like sear very well, and not going to get a nice color on them. They're just going to sit and simmer and boil.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm going for. Lots of nice brown color on the drink here. And you notice I didn't really turn it or stir
No.
it much.
You didn't touch it.
I just left it alone for, I don't know, half a minute or a minute or so, and then now I'm gonna go in and just sort of cook the other side.
Show my husband that trick.
He likes to just get
He
in there
just
and,
wants to move it and shake
oh, that's
it.
so exciting.
I know, he gets too excited.
All right, so what I'm gonna be doing, I'm just gonna get it a little brown on one side here, and then I'm gonna take it out because it will finish cooking in the curry sauce. One more there. There, you see what a nice color we have on there. Perfect. This is what I want. Add a little bit more oil. Get a little color on the other side there, and then we'll go on with the making the curry sauce and getting the vegetables all cooked and finishing up the dish. We got a little bit of brown rice waiting over there and the wings to serve this over. All right, I'm gonna pull that off.
There you go. Okay, then there we got it.
All right, so see all that nice, call it caramelization on the bottom there. We don't want to lose that. We want to incorporate that into the dish. Flavor. It's all about flavor, and that is what you want to use. Now, we're going to add in the curry paste, and we just want to get that warm a little bit before we actually put our coconut milk in there. And this is the yellow curry paste is pretty mild, so I'm just using a lot. It looks like a lot, just so that I have that more of that flavor. I don't want it to, disintegrate or be. I'm getting some in my.
Very flavorful.
Very flavorful, yeah. So then I'm gonna put some garlic and ginger in here. I think I need a little more oil in the pan, actually. And if you have coconut milk, there's a little trick that you pick up along the way. If you have coconut milk, sometimes the liquids separate from the solids.
Mhm.
Those solids are essentially coconut oil. You can use that as a fat in there, so then you don't have to use the coconut milk. You just use that
Oh,
coconut oil, which will give it a nice coconut flavor.
interesting.
But this is all, homogenized here,
Yes.
so that's why I'm using the canola oil. All right. So you notice I don't pour the whole thing in at once. I stir it up and see how it's going. If I want to do a little less, a little more. All
And you
right.
have this on high heat.
It is on high.
Yes,
I'm going
we
to turn
can't
that
see
down.
that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to turn that down to medium high now, just so we're not boiling away here. And these vegetables that you cut so nicely are cut fairly thin, so I'm not going to worry about doing like a pre-stir fry. I'm just going to let them cook right in the curry sauce. Peppers. I think that was obvious of what those are, right? Carrots, peppers.
Yes, carrots, peppers, onions. And so like Chef John was saying, we cut them pretty thin just so they cook a little bit easier.
Here's your
Heat,
chilies,
chilies.
and mango. Got some mango here, some slightly underripe mango. Pretty much.
Is it?
Yeah. So it's not as soft. So it's just right, and it's not as sweet either. So it's just the perfect
Mhm.
Just the perfect ripeness for a dish like this. And I'm actually gonna put a little more coconut and milk in there. Turn up my heat. That smells awesome.
Yes, it does. Super good.
And we've got a little cilantro that we're gonna use as a
Yes.
garnish. Clean up the station here a little bit. All right, and because they are small and I think vegetables are small and the mango is not as, you know, it's not as ripe, but we just kind of want to heat it up. So that yellow curry.
Oh,
Yeah, sure, Chef John. It's not spicy.
yeah.
All right.
And that's my jalapenos that did that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, putting the shrimp back in the dish. And I'm gonna add a little more coconut milk because I can see that's be quite enough. Turning that heat back up to high. I just want to get a nice boil and finish off the cooking of the shrimp. Again, with shrimp, being a seafood, you don't want to overcook it. I mean, if you let it like stew, another 15 minutes, that's gonna make your shrimp or any seafood or any shellfish, you get that rubbery texture,
Yeah.
really tough to eat. That's very difficult, not a good experience. So that's what you really want to do, is to make sure, and if you really want to test, if you really want to use your thermometer on this, go for it. Skewer a bunch of them on there and see what the temperature is. You can also just sort of go by feel, which is what I do most of the time. And if I'm not sure, I just like to give it a cut into it, take one of these guys and cut it. And that's pretty much ready to go. You can see that you're not seeing any of it's all pretty much white in there. You're not seeing the translucent or raw type of,
You can still temp it to 145.
yeah. That's
Same concept as the fish though. Like that it'll still keep cooking.
right. Yep, exactly. Let's give this a sample before I allow you to try it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you get that nice kind of smoky flavor. You still have your spoon?
Yes, I still have a spoon.
See that was.
All right, Joe, do we have any questions while we're just plating things up?
Yes, we have several questions that came through. A lot of questions about how to cook the fish. I'm going to try to combine them all into one. What temperature are you baking the fish at? For the different types of fish, do you suggest different temperatures? Can you grill it? Can you grill the fish? And if so, how would you grill it? And can you broil it? And if you're broiling it, would you put it on high, low, and how close to the broiler?
Yeah, definitely different ways of cooking these. Certainly cook them, grill them. What we like to do here in the professional kitchen is to actually start them in, get them seared off first, nice marks from the grill, and then putting them in an oven safe cooking, pan or whatever that, to be able to finishing it in the oven. We're able to control it a little more as opposed to doing it on the grill. I mean, grillers out there, you got it dialed in so that you've got a hot side of the grill and a cooler side of the grill, and you can, do some indirect heat grilling on the cooler side with the cover down or something. But as far as what we just did in the oven, that was at 350 degrees in a convection oven, and that took 10 to 12 minutes or so. Grilling, of course, I always like to get a nice sear on the hot side of the grill and finish it on the cooler side, or in the oven at 350 degrees. Or, you know, it's gonna take a little less if you bark it, so probably 8 to 10 minutes if you put a sear on it first. So, yeah, what do you think?
Woo, so good. Spicy.
Yeah. Not very spicy.
I
is
love
it?
it. I like it.
We did add the chilies in there
Yeah,
too.
we
had, so that would certainly kick it up a little notch too. So
Yes. it's
we have
very
time for another recipe.
super quick. Let's knock it out.
All right.
So the next one we're doing is we really wanted to show you how to use something that's, you know, really budget friendly, how to use tuna, but maybe doing something a little different, doing something a little fun. We made one ahead of time, so if anything, we'll show you at the end what it looks like. But this one's super easy.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of my favorite ones too. It's called pan bagné. It's the French term. Italians have one as well. Literally means bathed bread. Bathing in olive oil. Lots of yummy extra virgin olive oil. So
That's
that's
for your heart health.
and coming straight
Yes.
out of the Mediterranean. So great way to another in the win column for Mediterranean diets, right? So yeah, so this is used with canned tuna, and you can use, this is one that we had in water. I mean, you can get the one on olive oil, really a really nice dense tuna like albacore would be awesome in there as well. This is just regular yellowfin tuna that's been in the right out of the can. So I want to actually make that a little. Use my bowl. I want to mix everything in there before I actually put it on the tuna. Here you go. So let's build this with some tuna, and you'll see if you ever had a niçoise salad, it's sort of the south of France, this sort of brings that to mind. All around the Mediterranean, Greece, Italy, Sicily, all these places, I have something similar to this, and using all of those very fresh, nice, you know, Mediterranean olives. I'm going to throw in there some artichoke hearts, a little bit of red pepper. Excuse me. Some onion here. And we've got a little bit of, we're going to do some oil and lemon juice as a sort of a dressing here.
You want me to squeeze lemon juice in here?
Let's, yeah, I want to get my parsley in there as well. This is Italian parsley. Excuse me.
See the lemon juice.
Yeah, get that in there. Nice mixture. So we're basically just going to make a big old sandwich here. With a mixture of this tuna, lots of nice Mediterranean vegetables in here. You could use capers, you could use roasted peppers, all the nice, all those nice vegetables you can get that are either, you know, pickled or some sort of brine. Yeah.
Very easy. And the nice, like we mentioned, the nice thing about this one is, you know, sometimes with the fish, depending on what you're getting, it can be somewhat expensive. Is fresh or frozen more expensive, or is the frozen pretty inexpensive in regards to like comparing it to a fresh?
I think everything's expensive these days.
That's true. That's true. I mean, but tuna, I mean, this is a really good option.
Yeah, this is a
Compared to
very,
both.
very good option compared to like buying fresh or, you know, whole fillets.
Yep.
So that's a great option for you. So we're just gonna put a little canola oil in there. I would definitely use a fresh olive oil, extra virgin. What I did with this is the extra virgin olive oil. You can see the difference in the color. That is a nice sort of a greenish tinge to it, a nice and fruity olive oil, and that's what you want. A little bit of garlic here. You can actually rub it on there, and you wouldn't think you can actually taste the garlic, but if you rub it on here, you actually do get some of the flavor in there. Okay, so then we're just gonna put this tuna. I think this recipe was for more than one of these sandwiches, so I'm just gonna use, eyeball it, maybe about half. And then to be really French, you put some hard-boiled eggs on there. And then we've got a couple tomatoes there, it looks like.
Tomatoes,
And then we just put this on the top and
beautiful.
give that a nice, and now what you're gonna wanna do is press this. Get it in the fridge with a weight on it, and best left overnight. I'll show you what I did earlier today. This is the one that we've done. This is one we've done earlier today, and that was weighted in the fridge. I didn't leave it out on the counter. Don't worry,
Details.
no salmonella here.
Nope.
And this is, the same kind of bread, same kind of little salad here. And this is a little more wet. It's just sort of, help me out there.
There you go.
And that's what you're gonna get.
That's for your end product.
This is great for like taking out on a picnic. I mean, works really great for stuff that in there a little bit. So you'll see that's all kind of pressed down.
Mhm.
If you're gonna go look at that, you've got the olive oil kind of bathing that bread. Take a bite right now.
Take a bite. Okay, well, Chef John is tasting that. We hope that you guys learned a
Wow.
little something today. One about the benefits of all the different kinds of seafood and also learn how to prep all the different kinds of seafood. We really wanted you guys to walk away a little bit more confident on how to use the variety. So overall, we want to make sure you guys are adding seafood to your diet, at least 2 servings per week, about 8 ounces per week. That's where you're going to get the best benefit for your heart health, those omega-3s that we talked about. But as always, if you guys have questions, Chef John and I love to answer them. So
Please,
yes,
please.
thank you guys.
Thanks for coming over and
Yes,
sharing this experience with us. It's been great.
yes.
All right, thank you very much, Chef John and Kelly. That was excellent. Everything looks delicious. We had some great questions that came through. Sorry if we weren't able to get to your questions. But again, the recipes can be found if you click on that resources icon on your screen. You'll find a flyer where you can download those recipes. And also on the Let's Move by United Healthcare page on the member portal, you can find this recipe as well as all of the others that Chef John and Kelly have demonstrated for you over the past couple of months. So again, thank you, Kelly and Chef John. Again, our next virtual teaching kitchen will be on November 15th at the same time, and the topic will be on cooking with fall harvest. I will put that in the Q&A feature, so you have that if you want to register for that right now. And you can also find it under the events section on the Let's Move page. So thank you again, everyone. I'm going to put that information in the Q&A feature for you. And again, thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. See you next time.